Got it. And then I also want to share our PowerPoint. So this is pretty informal. Just want to share with you what the model is going to look like, take any questions you might have, and we'll just go from there. So thank you for being here. It's good to see you guys. Megan, I'm going to let you start us off.
Thanks, Tracy. My name is Megan Burke. I am with the Teach Early Childhood National Center, Division of Child Care Service Association, and Tracy and I have been working together for many years, but on this project, just over a year with her team, which has been fantastic. And now it is time to kind of share all of the hard work and information with you all.
Does this work better for you?
So let's just make sure everybody's muted before we go on so we can hear each other. Thank you.
Did it work for you?
Everybody mute.
No, you're good. Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. Let's mute, please.
All right. So if Tracy, you'll head to the next slide.
I'm trying.
That's all right. Always got to find the right button.
Yeah, you would think it would be simple, right?
No. So really, I'm going to provide kind of a general overview of the apprenticeship program, just kind of give you a lay of the land. And then Tracy's going to really give you the specifics of the Nebraska program itself. And really at any point, feel free to ask questions, type them in the chat, come off mute, however works best for you. We're a small group. And like Tracy said, this is very informal. And we want to make sure that we answer all of your questions.
I don't know what's happening, Megan. I'm sorry. I'm going to keep trying. I don't understand.
Sometimes it works against us. That's all right. We'll get it figured out.
I am going to start it over. I have no idea why this isn't working.
It's like the arrow, the up and down arrows on the left, right-hand side.
That's what I was thinking.
Where?
Yeah. On the right-hand side, it says 1 like of 12. And there's arrow.
I see it.
Can you use those?
Let me check.
That is in a weird spot.
It is.
Yeah, so yep, there you
go. All right.
Thank you, Julie. You're
Teamwork
amazing.
makes the dream work.
Thank you. You're great. All right. Moving on. Thank you, everybody.
Okay. All right. So apprenticeship, when you think of it, you probably think of the traditional trades, right? Electricians, plumbers, those kinds of occupations. And in the last few years, it's really been moving into other industries such as education. Early childhood apprenticeships have been around for a little while and gaining more traction in the last couple of years. And even now we're starting to see K-12. So apprenticeship is overseen by the U.S. Department of Labor. So imagine along with that, there's different language, different acronyms, all of those things. And I'm going to try to kind of just outline those key components and kind of just bring us all together. So every apprenticeship has these 5 major components. And I'm just going to touch on them kind of briefly, and we'll talk about them throughout the presentation. So every apprenticeship has to have a paid job component. So this apprenticeship, everybody will be employed in an early learning program. That is the way it's geared. They all have to have a job to participate in the apprenticeship. They are all, the second component is work-based learning. You'll also hear that referred to as on-the-job learning or on-the-job training. That's because an apprentice is learning while they work. An apprenticeship really takes what they're doing on their job and just supports that's already happening with specific skill development. They pair that with classroom learning, which is the third component. And classroom learning can mean a lot of different things. You'll often hear that referred to as related technical instruction. And for this apprenticeship program, we are pairing that with college coursework at the community college level. So all the classroom learning or related technical instruction will be directly tied to that college coursework. The piece that's really unique for apprenticeship is this mentorship component. This is, you may hear referred to as a journey worker. And this is essentially somebody that takes this classroom learning, related technical instruction, takes the work-based learning and kind of puts it all together for the apprentice. So imagine being able to take what you're learning in a classroom, the theory, and what you're doing in your actual classroom, and then having somebody help guide you into how to put that all into practice, right? Like, it's great and we're learning all of this information, but having somebody be able to say, hey, if you tried this, or tell me a little bit about what you're learning in your class, and kind of putting all those components together. That's what apprenticeship really allows you to be able to do. And then the last component is all apprenticeships have to lead towards a national credential or degree. And in this case, since we're using the related technical instruction as the college coursework, all of our apprentices will be working towards an associate degree. Next slide, Tracy. So for an apprenticeship here that we're kind of talking about, again, like I mentioned, it's an emerging national strategy. Almost all of the US states now have an early childhood apprenticeship program. There's only a couple that don't, and most of those are working on it. So it's really exciting. This model is registered with the US Department of Labor. So kind of think of that similar to like an accreditation system. You have to be reviewed and have everything kind of vetted before approval process. So it's a similar kind of process to go through that. And this model is approved through the US Department of Labor. Apprentices are matched with a journey worker. And again, that journey worker is the person that's helping support that on-the-job learning. You may hear us using journey worker and mentor together. They're going to be receiving one-on-one support to develop skills, specifically, again, taking what they're learning in a classroom, in a college classroom, and pairing that with what they're doing on the job to deepen those skills. I mean, think back to when you were in a classroom for the first time. If I had had somebody in there guiding me on a regular basis, oh my goodness, that classroom would have been so much more effective. Those children would have been getting a lot more, and it probably wouldn't have been nearly as stressful. That's the idea here, is that we're helping them hone those skills and development as quickly as we can with all of those supports. This apprenticeship program is built specifically to work in coordination with the existing Nebraska Teach Scholarship program for the related technical instruction. So the idea is that they will be participating in both programs to work together to really seamlessly support that apprentice. All right, so I've touched on these, but I just want to make sure one more time, because again, it's new language, it's new acronyms. We want to make sure that you're grounded in those. The journey worker or mentor, that's somebody who is potentially on site, and Tracy's going to tell you more about that, but that they are supporting the skill development. So there's somebody who's going to have more education than the person they are apprenticing, and they're going to be supporting that specific skill development. So they're going to be making sure that that apprentice is getting what they need and filling in those gaps. On-the-job training, that is the training occurring on the job while they're employed. So essentially all of the hours that they're employed can count towards that on-the-job training. And the related technical instruction, again, is that college coursework with a community college in Nebraska. So some of the key benefits to this, because it does layer on a little bit of accountability and structure and the mentorship for sure. But the benefits really are is that they're going to get a Teach Scholarship as well, which is fantastic. So they're going to have the support there to take coursework towards their AA degree in early childhood. They're going to have that on-the-job training and really the individualization that then provides with their mentor or journey worker. I mean, think about the individualization that we do for children. This just kind of takes that to another level for the adults with monthly check-ins and check-ins in between those visits, because we know how important that is. In other industries, we don't have to kind of parse that out, but we work in classrooms with children, right? And they require our attention. So there does have to be some intentionality towards visiting outside of the classroom or having some conversations because we need that undivided attention to have some reflective conversations. One of the others key benefits is that there is a wage increase as a part of an apprenticeship program. That is a Department of Labor requirement for an apprenticeship program. And Tracy's going to tell you a little bit more about the requirements around the wage increase as we get into the specifics of the program. I'm going to pause there. And are there any questions about apprenticeship in general? Tracy's going to give you all the good details, but I just want to make sure you guys are all feeling as comfortable as you can with apprenticeship.
I have a question, and I'm sorry, you're gonna know I have lots of questions, but
It's okay, Erica, go ahead.
so you said that almost all states have an early childhood apprenticeship program.
Yep.
And did you say Nebraska, like you have to go through an approval process,
Mhm.
I'm assuming? And Nebraska has gone through that process,
Mhm.
like Nebraska is now approved. Is that new? I mean, is that fairly new that Nebraska was
Yes.
approved for that? Okay,
Yes.
okay. And does it have to go through this to be considered an apprenticeship program?
Oh, that is a good question, Erica, with not a very clear one train of thought answer. So there are two types of states because there is not a clear pathway for apprenticeships. States are either divided into what's called an SAA, which is a state apprenticeship administrating agency, or an OA, which is an Office of Apprenticeship, which defaults to the U.S. Department of Labor. Nebraska is the second, so you have to register federally for that. We registered this program several years ago and have been working. We work as what's called an industry intermediary to do all of the paperwork and the decisions. And I mean, Tracy said yesterday, there's thousands of decisions that have to be made as part of this. And we worked with Tracy and her team. There's a whole statewide team that did this to facilitate those conversations to make this program specific to Nebraska and what the needs are, and to work with what your workforce needs. And all of that that model is approved through the U.S. Department of Labor. There are certain requirements and specifications about being a registered apprenticeship program. There's a lot of paperwork to go through that. So if you are interested in that, let me know. But yes, we will be the first operational early childhood apprenticeship in Nebraska.
Okay,
And I would say that that is statewide too. So I would say that there are other apprenticeship opportunities through local community colleges. I think Northeast Community
yes,
College
yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
has an apprenticeship, and that is specifically just for students who attend Northeast Community College. So this would be accessible to any student who wants to attend any community college across the state.
Okay, that makes more sense to me because I've been hearing about that piece, and then I'm thinking about this one. Okay, that makes
And
sense.
we
Thank
don't
you.
want to be in competition. We want to do whatever is best for
Right.
the student. So if the
Mhm.
student is at Northeast and they're taking coursework there and they're working through an apprenticeship with them, more power to them. However we can support them, that's great. But we are
Okay, and-
then offering opportunities for others who are at the other community colleges that might not have that option.
Okay, that makes it. So they've already got their apprenticeship
Mm-hmm.
program is also approved, but in a different, okay, perfect.
Yep.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
so
thank
this
you.
will be the first statewide. Yeah, some states have as many as 60 plus early childhood apprenticeship programs. It's about student choice and what
Okay.
meets their needs.
Well, Northeast is in my backyard, so
Yep.
I needed to
I
find
thought
out
that might come up.
distinction. Okay, thank you.
Question.
Crystal.
Yes, my question is, you say AA degree seeking students. We think of the AA as a student that's going to transfer to a 4-year college and then earn a bachelor's degree. Are AA students, AAS, which is Associate of Applied Science, are they eligible too? Or are you just saying any associate degree seeking student?
I'm not going to say no to the AAS. I totally understand the importance of that. This apprenticeship program is part of the larger RESPECT grant. And the RESPECT grant is also it works in two pieces. We have the AA seeking apprentices, and then there's a second cohort that are the BA seeking. And they're working with a whole different group. The intent behind the RESPECT grant is that the AA students completing their apprenticeship with their AA degree would then be allowed and eligible to then seamlessly move into the BA. And there was some intentionality behind the grant writers and the funders that said, if we have an AA seeking student and we want them to continue, they can go straight into the BA.
Okay.
But I'm not going to say the AAS is not acceptable. It's just we're we haven't gotten to that point yet. So
Okay.
we're primarily saying forward facing, the AA degree is the preferred.
Okay. I'm just thinking of the wage differences between, working in a childcare center to, then going on and get your bachelor's to, earn much higher wages in a school, that may detract, people one way or another, but okay, thanks for clarifying.
Yeah, I understand. Thank you, Crystal.
Like Kylie, I saw your question about family home. At this time, family home is not able to participate. And I say at this time because that's a Department of Labor restriction. That's not an us restriction. There's a lot because this is all housed within Department of Labor. They get stuck on owners versus employees and those types of things. So currently a family home is a sole owner. Owners cannot participate in apprenticeship programs, and that's all industries because they're the owners. You can't apprentice yourself. So we are working very hard to educate them that our industry is a little bit different, and finding some ways to work around that. I am incredibly optimistic, and some pockets of the country have found some workarounds, mostly tied to unions. So it's not a solution for everybody, where that is working. But stay tuned. I am really optimistic that the minute that we get just a tiny bit further, that may change. And the minute it does, and we have approval to do so, we will open this wide up to family home as well. We are currently working in another state to get approval to do family home, and we are very close to doing so. So I'm very optimistic in the very near future, we'll be able to have an apprenticeship program for family home that's truly family home and not tied to any kind of union or anything like that. But just know that that is a Department of Labor federal type thing that we're having to work through.
Thank you, Megan. I want to give a little more context to expand on Crystal's comments. Originally, when this RESPECT grant was written, it was written to address the immediate need for early childhood educators working in the larger systems like public schools, state-funded pre-Ks, the larger early childhood education programs that require degrees with certification. In that grant, there was about a paragraph or two that addressed this up and coming excitement around apprenticeships. And that was not necessarily one of the intended outcomes of the grant. And it took on a life of its own. And there were immediately lots of conversations about the need for this apprenticeship and the value and benefit that it would provide, specifically for those people that were not, those educators that were not ready to commit to a BA at this time, maybe in the future, but not right at the moment. And so there was it started out with a group of about 30 to 40 people who really wanted to see this apprenticeship come to life in Nebraska. And because it wasn't part of the intent of the original grant, it really did work from the ground up. It was really a grassroots effort to think about what can we provide for those educators who are interested in this opportunity and interested in an associate degree, with potentially the option of moving forward with the BA. So it really did grow from conversations among stakeholders, and here we are today. And so the funders of the grant are very supportive of this particular piece of it, but recognizing that it wasn't originally part of the plan. And so because there's so much interest and there's so much excitement and momentum around it, they're committed to this, and they're committed to finding the funding to ensure that we can do what we need to do with 10 or 12 apprentices to have just enough data to show, if we do it well, that it's a great method and it's a great opportunity. And then to continue that, we don't want this to be 2 years and done, and then we don't have another option to move forward. So I do believe that momentum that's behind it and carrying it now will continue to be able to sustain other cohorts into the future. All right, so who are our apprentices? And so we're looking at individuals that are potentially seeking an AA degree. We are requiring, though, at a minimum, that they achieve 9 hours of credit in higher ed, that they're 18 or older with a high school diploma or GED. They have to be working 30 hours or more in a licensed early childhood program, and again, center-based. And I want to go back to that license in a minute because it keeps coming up. And they have to commit to 2 years to participate in this apprenticeship program. We are anticipating that it'll take about 2 years for them to complete the 2,000 hours of on-the-job training that they have to receive the apprentice certificate. If they come out of the 2 years with this apprentice certificate and they don't have an AA, that's fine. Then we've accomplished what we set out to do, was to get them through the apprenticeship program. I've had multiple questions from programs that are maybe unlicensed Head Start programs, faith-based early childhood programs that are located in faith-based schools. And I think that's something that we're going to need to take to our stakeholder team, our work group, to make sure that there is some sort of a waiver or a workaround, especially if they are, for example, Head Start and they align with the Head Start performance standards, or if they're in a faith-based school that is accredited by an accrediting body. We might need to rethink that. But the way we first set this up is that it would be a licensed childcare center. And so as we go through this, we know there's going to be things we have to adapt and change, and things that we may recognize are not feasible. So it's a living thing that's going to probably change over time. Erica, did you want to come off mute?
Yes, sorry, I have a question. The first statement, when you're talking about the 9 hours of credit, do you mean they have to enter the apprenticeship program with at least 9 hours of credit? Okay, I'm sorry, I misunderstood that.
Nope, yeah, nope, they can enter with 0 credits.
Okay.
With nothing. The minimum is that we ask them to achieve 9 hours of credit.
Okay, so during the program. Okay.
Correct.
All right. Thank you.
So currently we are in the promotion, the marketing, the application and selection stage, which is why we're doing these webinars. We sent informational flyers to our early learning connections coordinators across the state who have their pulse on the finger of early childhood programs. We've done direct outreach to current TEACH participating programs. They know and understand TEACH. They know Nebraska AEYC. They have a relationship with Julie as the TEACH counselor. They seem sort of a natural fit to potentially have apprentices in their staff. We're doing these webinars. We've adapted our TEACH application to include questions specific to the apprenticeship program. Why are they interested in this? What is enticing to them? What do they hope to get out of it? Primarily because our TEACH application already asks for all the data that we are required to collect for the Department of Labor. There's no reason to have 2 separate applications. We anticipate that all of our students or apprentices are going to be eligible for a TEACH scholarship. And so why make them do things twice? We don't need to duplicate that and stress them out that way. So the application is available for them to complete now. There will be a small selection team that will help us to interview the apprentice, because I stress the apprentice is the one applying for this. They cannot apply in isolation. They have to have the support of their center director, their sponsoring program, because the sponsoring program has an invested commitment to this as well. So not only will the program have to support them as a TEACH student and do all of the requirements of the TEACH program, they also are going to have to support them as the apprentice, and they are going to have to do the requirements of the apprenticeship. And then there will be a journey worker / mentor that will be assigned to them. I'm going to talk a little bit more about who they are, but that journey worker mentor is part of the puzzle. So it's the apprentice, it's the center director, the program, it's TEACH, and it's the journey worker mentor. They all have to work, and the community college, the institutes of higher ed, because they are extremely important in this. And they also have a vested interest in ensuring that this student is successful in their academic pieces and in their apprenticeship. So we've created a scoring rubric to help us score these applications. We are anticipating that we'll have all of our apprentices ready to go in mid to late September with an onboarding session in October. And the onboarding session is an opportunity to bring them together to say, what did you get into? What do you expect this to look like? What is it going to mean to you? What are the expectations we have of you as an apprentice? And what are the expectations you should have of us to support you throughout this? And then we will do the same for the journey workers in November. And then we hope to have our students enrolled for the spring term at whatever community college they choose. So our journey workers, our mentors, we'd prefer that they have a BA, but an AA is acceptable. Yeah, say an AAS is fine too, if that's what they have. Ideally, this is somebody that is working on site with the apprentice. If that's not possible and the site does not have somebody that meets the requirements, then we will go to the local community and we will find those highly capable, competent, trained coaches, mentors that can serve in that role. The Department of Labor will require us to have somebody that's called a journey worker of, what's it called, Megan? Journey worker of choice, journey worker on site.
Of record.
Thank you, journey worker of record. If that's not somebody that is able to fulfill the role of the journey worker, they will be identified as the journey worker on record, but that external mentor coach will come in and serve in that capacity to support both of them, the journey worker of record and the apprentice. We are expecting that this journey worker mentor will come with 5 years of experience as a lead teacher in a classroom setting. Ideally, they have some experience working with the age group that this apprentice is working with. We do want them to complete the Nebraska coach training, and then there will be an extra day following that for apprentice specific training. So the next, well, there's one in September, but the next Nebraska coach training will be in January. And so if we have apprentices that do not have that, they will go through that coach training. And then just like if it's a coach working in pyramid, there will be an extra day. And so the extra day would be focused on apprentice specific stuff. And we have a great relationship with our early childhood connection coordinators that are helping us to create that training, and will provide ongoing training, professional development, and support to those journey worker mentors throughout the process. So they will be helping us with that ongoing professional development. And then there will be communities of practice that are available for the apprentices and then for the journey workers. The journey worker mentor, their primary role is to support that educator, that apprentice in the classroom. And so in order to ensure that they are supporting the competency of a highly qualified, educated, competent person in the classroom, we're using NAEYC's early childhood educator standards and competencies. And that's how they'll be, I don't want to say evaluated because I don't like that word, but that's how we'll be assuring that the apprentices are meeting the competencies in a way that's going to tie together what they're learning in their coursework and the standards and competencies of NAEYC. And so the journey worker will help to pull that all together for them. The model itself, I mentioned associate degree seeking. There's a requirement that it's 2,000 hours of on-the-job training, and that's what's happening when that apprentice is working in the classroom and receiving that additional support from the journey worker mentor. It's competency-based around the NAEYC standards and competencies. And for their involvement and engagement in all of this, the apprentice will receive a stipend of $2,400 per year to support them to take care of whatever needs they have inside or outside of the classroom, professionally when they're working or at home when they need extra support. The requirement is that the apprentice will see a 3% increase in wages over the 2 years that they are involved in this project. So there's a requirement that they'll see a bump in their wages the first year. By the end of the second year, they will receive up to that full 3%. And that's on top of whatever they should receive as part of their TEACH scholarship. So in order to support the employers, the sponsoring programs, to ensure that they can build this into their budget to ensure this wage is sustainable, we're offering the sponsoring programs $5,000 per year. And that is to help offset the cost of the wage increase. But also, we know that the journey worker mentors and the apprentices will need specific and intentional time outside of the classroom to talk about those competencies, to talk about what's happening in their classes, and bringing that to life in their classroom with children. And so that's going to require time out of the room. And so we're going to need the program to offer subs and time away for them to meet. So hopefully that stipend will help to offset some of their costs. And then for their time and experience, the mentor will receive $3,500 per year. We will have, as I mentioned, the onboarding of the journey worker mentors, that initial training, and that ongoing professional development. When we broke out that cost of their stipend, we just wanted to give a little bit of some maybe guidance around how much time that might be. And so it looks like it comes out to about 4 hours a month for that on-the-job training focused around the apprentice. It's starting off with that a relationship building. How are we showing competency attainment? How are they supporting the work-life balance of that apprentice? How successful are they being in their coursework? And then, of course, the coaching conversations and that constructive feedback that happens. Additionally, there is a success navigator who is responsible for ensuring the success of not only the apprentices on our side of the Respect Grant, but the BA students that are part of the other cohort. And so that success navigator is going to be there to ensure that the barriers are broken down, the students have the opportunities to be successful. And then on top of that, we always have our teach coordinator, Julie Warford, and she is there for all of our teach students to ensure that they are successful at the academic piece of it. And then our communities of practice opportunities for both apprentices and journey worker mentors. And that may look different from time to time. I'm thinking that they're going to be offered monthly at the beginning. It could be something that is focused on a specific content area. It could be something that is focused on more of the professional development of the mentors and the apprentices, or it could literally just be, what are your successes? What are your challenges? What do we need to wrap around everybody to ensure that both of those groups feel like they've got what they need? And then you're here at the second of our informational sessions. And what are your questions? What are you interested in learning more about? What are you concerned about? What worries you? What do you want to know?
I have a couple questions, I guess.
Yeah.
So you said the application's open. So the flyer that I sent out was about this webinars.
Mhm.
Is there a flyer that's going to be sent out with the actual application link and all that information?
It's possible. I may not remember this exactly, but I think at the bottom of the flyer, was it a link to our website?
It does say
Okay.
that. You're right. It
So
does.
the link
say
to the
apply.
website takes you to the application. And so
Okay.
just as of this week, we've modified the flyer to take off the webinar sessions. That's the flyer we're going to keep generating. That'll take you directly to the website to get the application. So
Perfect.
that will come out to all of you again, probably tomorrow. Just
Okay,
the updated flyer.
Sounds good. And then I have a couple more. Can I go ahead and ask more questions?
Absolutely. Ask away.
So when are you going to be hiring the mentors, I guess? And like, who's going to be doing that? Are you waiting to find out how many you get in the program before you hire them? Because I'm assuming you're going to limit numbers and try and align that with the mentors.
Yeah. So like I mentioned, we're hoping to get 10 to 12 apprentices. It's a package deal. It's the apprentice, it's the sponsoring program, and it's the journey worker mentor. When we have a conversation with the apprentice, the first thing we have to say is, does your sponsoring center know that you're doing this, and are they on board? We should then have a face-to-face or a Zoom conversation with the center director, the apprentice, Julie, and myself. And then that's when we say to the center director, do you have somebody on staff that you think would be a good candidate for a journey worker mentor? If that's the case and they have somebody, case closed, perfect, we're ready to go. I don't foresee that there's an application process for the journey worker mentors. I think it's just a matter of, do we have a good fit? If there's not somebody on staff at the center, then we will go to the community and we will look around. We'll reach out to you and we'll say, who are your mentors, trained coaches in your community that might have interest in this? And then it's an individual ask, an approach to each person individually. So that journey worker mentor is the piece that probably comes towards the end when we've got the applicant, we've got the apprentice, we've got the center on board. And then it's, where do we find the best journey worker mentor?
Okay, thanks. That makes sense. And then my last, I mean, is NACI, who's funding this? Like, and I guess, and I guess I'm curious to, like, oh, when we talk about sustainable, so the center gets $5,000 for 2 years.
Mhm.
So is it just the hopes that they'll just build that into their budget to be able to sustain that pay for the people who are increasing their wages?
Yes. So from that perspective, yes, we are
Okay.
asking the centers to take on that responsibility once this grant funded opportunity ends.
Okay,
So we're hoping that they are able to build it in. I would like to say that there is some sort of an expectation or an accountability piece, but I don't know that we can hold them accountable at that point.
yeah,
It's being funded by private funders, the Buffett Early Childhood Fund and the Tracy, come on. I want to say it's
It's the
remember
Nebraska or the Early Educator Investment Collaborative.
Early
Okay.
Educator Investment Collaborative. Thank you, Julie. I appreciate that. And so, yeah, they have funding for both the BA seeking cohort and our apprentice cohort for 2 years. And
Okay.
then the expectation is that somebody, me, the Buffett Fund, whoever, has to go out and try to fundraise to keep this so we can have a second and a third and a fourth cohort and going forward.
okay, that's awesome. Thank you.
Sure. Other questions, concerns, thoughts?
I just wanted to add, there's a wait list for our traditional associate and bachelor degree CDA scholarships. This is a separate pot of money, so there's no wait list for this. So if people are confused, like, well, I applied, but I got waitlisted, I can't apply for this. It's 2 separate things, so.
Thank you, Julie. I appreciate that.
So even if they're doing the same application, they're still gonna have to apply for this separately. even
If they're current teach students, they do not have to reapply per se. We would ask them the questions about the apprenticeship to see if they are a good fit for the apprenticeship. If they're existing teach students and they want to be a part of this, that's even better. It spreads the love and spreads the money around so that we can open up more spots on our other traditionally funded teach program.
So do they still need to let someone know though?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yep, they would have to let Julie know or let myself know. So we just need to be aware that this is something they're interested in.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thanks.
What else? Other questions? Crystal, anything else come up for you?
No, I think it's a great opportunity. I don't know if our Office of Work-Based Learning person joined yesterday. I know I shared it with her because, they're trying to kick off, doing apprenticeships at all the community colleges. And we
Yeah, I
have a
believe she
couple
was there.
programs go. Did she?
I think she came, yeah. Mhm.
Connie? Yeah.
think-
So it's great, they were like, oh, we should do this. And I'm like, but there are all these things already happening in our state. We would be reinventing the wheel, trying to do all this. So I appreciate all the work that all of you have put into getting this off the ground, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm super excited. And if SEC decides that they want to tackle their own apprenticeship and however we can be supportive and helpful, we will. We'll just jump right in. I mean, we all play together in the sandbox pretty nicely. So
Yeah,
it
I
would,
think
however they
just
want it.
from conversations that I've had with people, they're like, oh my gosh, this is really, they've got a lot of things figured out already. So again, kudos for doing all that.
Well, thank you. It was a group effort and it's just super exciting. And I love the opportunity this brings as a completely new and exciting professional development opportunity for our educators, creating a pipeline of well educated. And it aligns with Teach so well. It's education, it's compensation. And I neglected to mention that the apprentice does have an expectation that they are committed to their center for a year when they're done with the apprenticeship. So it continues that same idea within Teach, that there is consistency and commitment to their program.
Mhm.
The program's
If-
investing this much in them, they absolutely need to invest.
Right. What if in the instance, they wouldn't commit, or
Yeah.
would they be paying that money back, or?
Well, it's the same idea we have with Teach. If a Teach student leaves their sponsoring program without fulfilling that commitment period, we do ask them to pay it back. And I would say we do the same thing for apprentices. However, I also have to acknowledge that we're in early childhood education and we are not debt collectors. And it's not within our heart to go after somebody for money. But I don't want to say, oh, don't worry about it. If it doesn't work out, you can ditch your program and you're not committed. I want them to go into it knowing that there's an expectation that they do need to make this commitment.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we have students that understand that. And if they leave for whatever reason, life happens, then they sometimes they choose to pay us back. And we might get it in $25 a month for 2 years. And other times they ghost us and we don't hear anything from them at all. But
Yeah.
it happens. I think Diana had a comment, but I'm gonna pull it up.
Yeah, I was just saying this is an
Amazing, yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I love it. I love it. And I would be interested in helping with mentoring or journey work. But again, like I'm only working part-time with Metro, so anything that comes up, I would be willing to help any way possible.
I love
Just
that. I
keep you in
appreciate that.
mind.
I do.
Yeah.
I appreciate that because you're
Thank you.
you're an amazing educator and advocate, and we would be remiss.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. If you have come across questions, email myself or Julie. You can message through the Nebraska AEYC website if you want to. We always get those and respond. So please spread the word. We will make sure that all of our ELCCs have the new flyer updated, ready to go without the informational sessions on it. I know from hearing from other states that have been working with Megan, they're challenged with finding enough apprentices. It was a tough year or two for some of them. I don't have that same fear. I think with the momentum and the excitement we have behind this, I think it's going to be easy for us to get 10 to 12. I could be very wrong. And we may only start with a handful, but keep spreading the word. Let people know it's available. And it's got so many advantages to the apprentice, to the childcare program, to working with the mentors. So it's just amazing. And I'm really excited it's actually happening. All right. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you being here. Take care. Thank you.